Okay, so have you ever been at the salon, right? And you hear that sound, that horrible sound of dull scissors going through your hair.
Ugh,
It's the worst. And honestly, who needs that stress in their lives?
nobody.
So they got me thinking about how often we're really supposed to be sharpening our hair shears. It's one of those things you know you should do,
Right.
but who actually knows how often?
Yeah, exactly.
So to get some answers, I wanted to do a deep dive into this article called "How Often Should Hair Cutting Scissors Be Sharpened?"
Good idea.
Now, something I found really interesting is that this article compares taking care of your shears to taking care of your car.
Interesting. I can see that.
Yeah. It basically says that just like your car needs regular maintenance to, keep everything running right, your shears need love, too, to perform their best.
It's true. Your shears are tools, so it makes sense you'd treat them kind of like you treat other tools, with regular upkeep.
Okay, so let's break this car analogy down a little more. They're saying that those, really nice shears, the ones with the fancy curved blades, are kind of like the sports cars of the hair world.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
And just like a sports car needs premium gas and all that to stay in top shape, high-quality shears still need regular sharpening.
And just like with those fancy cars, you might think you can skip some of the maintenance because they're high quality,
Right.
but it'll catch up to you eventually, no matter how nice the tools are.
That makes sense. And it's not just the type of shears, but also how you use them that matters too.
Ugh.
The article talks about slide cutting and dry cutting, which I have to admit, I had to look up. Can you explain those?
Yeah, so slide cutting is when you're gliding the blades down the hair shaft to cut it. And dry cutting is, well, pretty much what it sounds like, cutting on dry hair instead of wet hair.
Okay, that makes sense.
But they both create more friction than traditional cutting. That means more wear and tear on the blades over time. Going back to the car analogy, it'd be like driving off-road a lot. It's going to put more stress on your car than just taking it on the highway.
Okay, I see. So how often are we actually supposed to be taking our shears in for tune-up or sharpening, I guess?
It really depends on how often you're using them. Think about it like mileage on a car. If you're a professional stylist using the same shears all day, every day,
Yeah.
you'll probably need to sharpen them every 3 to 6 months.
Wow, that often.
Yeah, you use them constantly, so it's like putting a ton of miles on your car every day. Now, for someone who mostly uses their shears for personal trims every couple of months or so, they might be able to get away with sharpening them only once a year.
A whole year, huh? I can't say I've been that good about getting mine sharpened,
Right.
but it sounds like there's more to it than just sharpening, right?
For sure.
Like what about general maintenance to keep those blades in good condition?
Right. Just like with your car, if you want to make it last, you got to take care of it. So with shears, we're talking about putting a drop of oil on the screw that holds the blades together, which is called the pivot, and making sure the tension is right so the blades open and close smoothly. Basically, just like regular little checkups for your shears.
Okay, so we've covered how often to sharpen and how to keep our shears maintained. But I'm curious, what happens if we just ignore all the warning signs?
Oh, you're gonna know. It's kind of like when you try to cut a tomato with a dull knife, you end up just squishing it instead of slicing through it. It's the same
Wow.
with your hair. You're gonna end up with split ends, uneven cuts, and your hands will probably start hurting from having to put so much pressure on the shears. Plus, you risk messing up the blades even worse, and then you're talking about expensive repairs or even having to replace them altogether.
Yikes, yeah, it's definitely better to stay on top of it. It's like they always say, a little maintenance goes a long way. Not only will taking care of your shears save you from those bad hair days, but it'll also save you some money in the long run.